people. God is good. And all the time, give God a very loud clap. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Wajama, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So it's a very, very wonderful pleasure to be amongst all of you people that we have fought together for all this time. Thank you very much for coming. So my responsibility in really summing up what has happened and winding down today's engagement, allow me first of all to recognize and thank the many people that have organized tirelessly all these months to the coming of this conference. All our organizers, led by the Honorable Semuji Uganda, put your hands together for them. I would also like to distinctly recognize the people who founded the Forum for Democratic Change, who built the vision for struggle of Uganda to liberate it. Let's put our hands together for all the founders of this party. And I'd like also to equally thank, it has been 20 years, the veterans, people who have been in the trenches, who have fought, who have sacrificed whatever they have to build what has been built in the last 20 years. All our veterans, put your hands together for them. I would also like to recognize our colleagues who have fought hard and long, but who are no longer with us, who perished in the struggle, shot by our enemies, tortured and killed in prisons by our enemies, those who died of stress and all other things who are no longer with us. A minute of silence for our fallen heroes. Watch upon all of them, forgive them what they may have done wrong, and grant them eternal peace. Recognize those who have been injured, maimed, and there are many sitting among us here who are on crutches, who are disabled in many ways, including my brother whom I heard this morning being recognized, Haruna Biamukama from Chenjojo, who has been in a wheelchair since 2006. That is a good 15 years. Haruna Biamukama was shot at Bulange. He's a luckier one. 3 died instantly at Bulange. In front of me, all these boys are shot in front of me at Bulange. And many others who have been shot, who have been killed in the different places of Uganda. Put your hands together for all these injured people. Among those who have departed, of course, I should recognize the person who sang that Toka Kwa Barabara. Adam Mulwana, rest in peace. You made your contribution. Put your hands together for Adam Mulwana. And similarly, Harriet Kisache. Harriet Kisache, you may not recall, she passed on a little earlier, but she was a wonderful voice for struggle in the music industry. Put your hands together for Harriet. I want in a special way to recognize and thank one of the founders who was the leader of the National Democratic Forum, NDF, Mzee, we normally call him Chairman Chapa Karuhanga, who is the landlord of Katonga Road. Without being of extraordinary courage, there would be no Katonga Road. It has been focused on, he has been terrorized, he has been offered all kinds of things. That's why he now lives in exile in Lusaka, and we are able to still be here in Katonga Road. Put your hands together for Chairman Chapa Karuhanga. I haven't had the hands together. I'll go on and thank, there are many people to thank, but as I said, I'm talking to very hungry and thirsty people. My work today, what I intended to talk about, has been touched on by Dr. Godba in describing what the challenge we have to overcome is. What is the struggle about? The struggle is about to regain our country. We have no country. Our country is captured. We have no wealth. Our wealth is captured. We are not even as good as refugees. Refugees have the UN which looks after them. We have no one to look after us. We are worse than refugees. So that's the challenge, that we live in a country which is not ours. Our struggle is to regain control of the country. We must regain control of the country. And I differ from Godba, certainly. I don't think we shall regain control by encouraging Museveni to give up. That you have done your work, now it is time. Museveni doesn't need encouragement. He needs to be very strongly pushed out of power, and the country returns to our hands. And that is why we are here. We are here to organize, to regain control of the country. And regaining control of the country is not a simple task. It will not come on a silver plate. We must know, why haven't we regained the country up to now? It has been 20 years. Why? Why have we failed in 20 years to gain control of the country? And we must overcome what has made us fail up to date. And the first thing that we must overcome is the fear of the dictator. People are terrified. They think a dictator has a lot of power. Dictators are weak. They are paper tigers. If you meet a paper tiger, you may think it is a real tiger until you kick it and you see that it was, after all, a paper tiger. Mr. Museveni is a paper tiger. We must cast our fear away and face the paper tiger and tear it into the pieces it is. And I am encouraged. I saw when young people recently said they are going to demonstrate against corruption. Mr. Museveni, the paper tiger, came up and said, you dare, I will kill you. I will, he, moved a lot of dust I am glad the young people dared and came. In spite of those threats, people came. Are they there or they are not there? Have they died or they haven't? They have pricked the paper tiger. Next time, it should be everyone, not just those few. Those who remained behind, warm up. The paper tiger must go. And that is our duty here. So ladies and gentlemen, we are reorganizing FDC for struggle. For what? To regain our country. We are not reorganizing FDC primarily to get jobs in Museveni's government. No. We want to reorganize the party to join with all other Ugandans to regain control of the country. And we shall regain control of the country by the grace of God. We call ours. We must mobilize and unite with all Ugandans of whatever party description, provided their agenda is to regain control of the country. In other words, regaining control of the country is not a partisan project. Are we together? Even if you have no party, even if you are a doctor in the hospital, even if you are a soldier in the military, you are a policeman, it is your duty to regain control of the country. I mobilize, I call upon your soldiers of NRA, where I fought. We didn't fight for family rule. Wherever you were, stand up and we liberate our country. This country must go back to the hands of Ugandans. And as I wind up, because as I've said, time is gone, people are hungry. I would like to tell you my own view, what I see ahead. What I see ahead, some people think that the 20 years were wasted. No. We didn't arrive where we were going, but the 20 years have already broken down what was the system of Mr. Museveni. It is wobbling all over the place, waiting for us to push it. Are we together? Today, Mr. Museveni can hardly pay his workers. He can't. In fact, this budget, they said they have passed the budget in Parliament. All the money he hopes to get in taxes will not be enough to pay interest alone on the debts he has. All our taxes, they want to collect this year 31 trillion. That's what they have put as a target for taxes this year. But the money they have to pay in interest for the loans they have already consumed, they need 34 trillion. So they must, and they will not be able to collect the 31 because we don't have it. Even if they kill us, we don't have it. So they will not collect the 31. You have seen the shopkeepers rioting. The shopkeepers can't pay the taxes. So they will not collect the 31. But even if they collected the 31, they will need to borrow another 3 to pay interest on the debts. So they will, after borrowing 3, taking our taxes, they will remain at 0. So all the salaries they have to pay the policemen, the soldiers, the RDCs, the ministers, the MPs, all the salaries this year, we are going to borrow them. They will have to borrow everything they spend this year. Abroad have told them, go away, we are no longer lending to you. So now the only place they have to borrow from is from ourselves. So we are closing in on them when they have no capacity to defend themselves any longer. The police you hear, all these police vehicles you see have no fuel in them. They don't. If you go to the police station, it is you to buy the paper on which to write. The police is stuck. Everyone is stuck. So ladies and gentlemen, they got to that situation because we have maintained the pressure on them all these years. Our fight has not been in vain. What needs to be done is to finish it up. We just need to finish it up. So we are dealing already with someone who is finished actually. And you know, once you become weak, this is the law of nature. Everybody wants to displace you, isn't it? So now, the people in the Museveni's palace, they now see a weakling there. And you have seen already they are fighting to replace him while he is still looking. You know? So there is a war even going on within there because the power itself is weak. It's become very weak. So, ladies and gentlemen, this, I think I heard they are talking about 6 months to wind up FDC, 6 months to bring the new formation. You have another duty within the 6 months. I think within those 6 months, we must do everything in our power to make sure that the new formation is in a new environment altogether. Are we together? Not a new formation in prison also. I walked around all the regions recently, mobilizing people to organize themselves. Rebuild Power 10. Rebuild Power 10. Rebuild on the ground Power 10. The young people especially. This struggle is for the young people, not for me. I am in the evening of my years. Nzembarwanirako. I am only fighting on your behalf. Not for myself. I have nothing to benefit myself. But I have given you the years I still have. But as they say, the closest relative of the dead person is the one who touches the most problematic place on the dead person. Are we together? So even if we are fighting, the young people stand up and be counted. Get up and we remove this nonsense and we reorganize our country. Yes, in the transition, after these have gone, one of the activities of the transition will have to be reconciling the country. The country definitely will need to be reconciled. There is a lot of hatred amongst ourselves, which needs to be processed so that we become one Uganda, one people. That is for the transition. For now, the young people. And the young people, if you hear anybody talking about an opposition person, whether FDC or not, as your enemy, know that that person is an enemy. Are we together? Doesn't matter. That's why we had here the different political formations. They are our brothers and sisters in there. Are we together? And I must, in that regard, I didn't see the National Unity Platform people here, but I am glad We have been in touch. Their leaders are in Canada. They have been in the US, but they sent us a significant financial contribution to whatever we are doing here. They are together with us, and we must remain together with everybody who is fighting to cause change. There will be people who falter in all places. Even in FDC, as you have seen, there are people who want a shortcut. In every place you'll find shortcutters. We must not be diverted by those. We must keep on moving together with anyone who wants change, who is ready to fight for change. Time is now. The junta is weak. We are strong. Let us move and close the deal. Tuchigale. Tuchigale. Kisera chituse. Time is up to close the deal. People are tired. Let's close this deal. I think I talked about ending fear, but I didn't talk about the other elements that has stopped us to. I didn't talk about the other elements that have stopped us getting where we are going up to now. Apart from fear, the second most dangerous enemy we are facing is money. Okay? Apart from fear, the next most dangerous enemy is because told you that our wealth was captured by Mr. Museveni and his family. Everything is the controller of our money. Are we together? So he's now using that money to control us. It means if we have to fight to overcome him, we must overcome the temptation to be controlled by. Are we together? It's a struggle. I've been telling young people here, sometimes you invite them from Makerere. You say, come and we meet at Katonga. They say, we don't have transport. To come from Makerere to, does one need transport? If you are to get free, you must sacrifice. Are we together? Even Museveni to reach State House, we were together in the bush. He used to walk hundreds of miles on foot, hungry, bitten by mosquitoes. Rain comes, you have no protection. Anything. You pass through difficulties to reach where you want to go. Are we together? We must overcome money. Because it was part of the problem, we couldn't even, part of the postponement of this delegates conference was because we had no money. But if we resolve that we are here to fight, whether we have money, whether there is food, whether there is not, you tighten your belt until you get where we are going. Are we together? So those, please, those, but Nzendwala Arusa, I can't manage. We respect your problems, step aside. Okay? Step aside. Where we are is tightening belts and we move. If I collapse even on the way as we move, there is no time to all come back, cry, carry on, we have lost someone. No. Continue, finish the job. We shall sort out the burials later. Let us move and solve the problem. The message, I am the one who tied the Equatorial Hotel on him. I designed that, he's the owner of Equatorial Hotel, and that was part of a narrative to say Besigye is very rich. He's actually the same as he's working with Museveni. And they drummed up that propaganda until people started saying, maybe, you never know.
The first response for Chitezi was President Museveni to write a letter sympathize with those who lost their people, announce 5 million shillings, 1 million shillings. The fact that as a country we are even able to accept that from a president shows you how broken we are as a country. And that is the nature of the problem that we are dealing with. But you can also look at the other institutions. The police. You ask yourself, do we have a Uganda police force now? The intelligence, does the intelligence work for Uganda?
So I asked the team doing that, proceed very fast to distribute the copies as I proceed with the delivery of the report. And here is the report. Yes? Okay. Here is the report, ladies and gentlemen. I beg for your indulgence and silence. And honor to welcome you all to this 8th Delegates Conference of the Forum for Democratic Change. Welcome to Katonga, the command post for the national liberation struggle, but also serving as a haven or sanctuary for the mighty FDC family for close to a year now. That is, since self-seekers nefariously took hold of our party headquarters in Najanankumbi. Brothers and sisters, and the entire blue family of fraternity, join me in expressing our profound gratitude to our founding president, progenitor, and patriarch for resolutely staying the course. Retired Colonel Dr. Chiza Besigye, you are indeed a rare breed, a true source of inspiration, a beacon of hope and a bright star in the face of heavy storm and darkness, a selfless statesman whose compassion knows no boundary. We celebrate you, Papa. To our co-host, Elder Honorable Chapaka Ruhanga, regrettably exiled by the very people you helped assume power, your generosity and wise counsel has rekindled our apparently waning trust in the goodness of the current crop of elders. His Excellency, Ambassador Waswabirikwa, you deserve a pat on the back for your tenacious grip onto the original Bonita key and never surrendering it to imposters. We treasure that key. For the architect of the war plan, the indomitable Honorable Salam Musumba, thank you for being a sword in the times of uncertainties and adversity. I wish in the same vein to extend similar thanks and appreciation to colleagues at NEC, as well as the bona fide FDC leaders at all levels. Permit me make a special mention of the indefatigable Honorable Ibrahim Semujunganda, the indefatigable Honorable Semujunganda, the chairperson organizing committee of this delegates conference, who has pitched camp here at Katonga for the last 1 month, fixing nuts and bolts to ensure that this delegates conference is a success. He deserves a hand. State well. And all our Katonga-based MPs, we thank you for leading from the front. Of course, not forgetting the team at the Secretariat, led by our Secretary General Harold Kaija, Right Honorable Wafula Ogut, Man of God Muzei Wycliffe Bakandonda, women leaders, youth leaders, amongst others. Allow me also mention the team that worked with the Honorable Semuju, his deputy, Honorable Muijushe, and her worship Doreen Nyanjura, who mobilized all the funds for this particular delegates conference from all of you who made the contributions. To the rank and file, you Kalamburu members across the entire country, I can't thank you enough. The debilitating and harsh economic environment imposed on you by the junta notwithstanding, you stood firm and resisted all sorts of manipulations, intimidation, cajoling, and freebies, or groceries, and all sorts of allurements, including some drinks, dangled at you by the Najanankumbi imposters and their facilitators. In you, we have a solid rock upon which the struggle is anchored. Thank you. On my part, it can't be gainsaid that this tumultuous journey of 11 months, it's 11 months exactly today, since you gave me this mantle. Yes, it cannot be gainsaid that this tumultuous journey of 11 months at the helm of our Birijadi party have been quite challenging, given the enormity of the task entrusted to me and my team, as well as the rugged political terrain in our country. On the flip side, I feel humbled and elated for the opportunity given to me to serve in that coveted position and the amazing support and trust vested in me. Thank you, dear delegates and all members. I say, the journey has been a tough one, but also quite eventful and memorable. Your unwavering support, resilience, steadfastness, and sacrifices have been a lifeline and source of impetus for my leadership. The FDC journey at a glance. The date of 7th August 2004 will remain in the annals of this country as a memorable day when a group of hitherto under the rubrics of three formations, to wit, Reform Agenda, Parliamentary Advocacy Forum, Quality PAFO, and National Democratic Forum, convened at Bonita Gardens in Ruboa and made a landmark decision that fundamentally changed the political landscape of this country for a period of close to 2 decades now. A stronger code or bond was struck amongst themselves, personal interests shelved, and as well as also ambitions shelved, and unanimously agreed to midwife a single entity, the beloved FDC. This nascent institution that would later become a formidable force to reckon with formally entered the record of political formations recognized under the law on the 16th day of December 2004. The commission of the founding of this party is duly stated in Article 6 of the FDC Constitution thus: the goal of the party shall be the establishment of a truly united and peaceful Uganda, and the empowerment of the people of Uganda to achieve a better quality of life for all Ugandans. Against the background of political instability, a near moribund state structure, and a decayed societal fabric, amongst other considerations, the progenitors of the FDC agreed on a laudable motto enshrined in Article 5 of our Constitution: one Uganda, one people, Ra, Cha, Ah. Over the years, this mighty institution has grown leaps and bounds and enhanced national character with a strong membership from the entire country. You have also demonstrated it here. The entire country is gathered at Katonga today, and today is the day for Ugandans to assemble and make a proclamation for the journey ahead. It is worth noting that for the last 2 decades, the FDC has served as a study platform for the liberation struggle and the vanguard of democratic governance, civil liberties, and social justice. Using the strategy of defiance envisaged under Article 3 of the National Constitution, the FDC, as the nerve center for a wide spectrum of the democracy-seeking forces, has championed the protracted struggle for rule of law and constitutionalism, and the milestones achieved are well documented. It is truism to state that FDC brand has always been synonymous with robust internal democracy, which has been prototype or template for different organizations within and outside Uganda. Much as the founding president was in exile, at the time of the formation of FDC, delegates who assembled at the first convention unanimously returned him as the first party president. The subsequent 3 hotly contested elections, say presidential elections, returned Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye, General Mugisha Muntu, and Honorable Patrick Oboyi Amuriat as duly elected presidents in a free and fair exercise hitherto unprecedented in our country. Great concern that the leadership of Honorable Patrick Oboyi Amuriat capitulated to the devious maneuvers and overtures that the party had resiliently and valiantly resisted for several years, thereby veering off the party constitutional path, particularly the party vision, mission, and values enshrined in Article 6 and 8 of the Constitution. You'll make a reference to that. And that is a serious indictment. It's a very serious one, which we cannot give space or tolerate. Those idiosyncratic of the world developments compelled the delegates who assembled at an extra national delegates conference that convened at this very place on the 19th of September 2023 to suspend the then party president, Engineer Patrick Oboyi Amuriat, the then Secretary General Honorable Nandala Mafari, and the Treasurer General Honorable Geoffrey Kanya. The delegates further resolved that during suspension, the Deputy President of Uganda, Honorable Elias Lukwago, you can say his worship, should serve as the interim president, while Honorable Francis Mejushe, who was deputy to Honorable Geoffrey Kanya, and Honorable Kaija, who deputized Honorable Nandala Mafari, performed the duties of Treasurer General and Secretary General, respectively. Save for the members who were suspended, the tenure of other NEC members was extended for a period of 6 months from the 8th of October 2023, when the tenure was set to elapse. The Toterebuka Bamwende Electoral Commission was also disbanded, and an interim electoral commission was constituted with a mandate to organize free, fair, and transparent and credible internal elections. This commission comprised of Honorable Michael Kabaziguruka as the Chief Electoral Commissioner and the 3 other members, to wit Honorable Jaka Wamayi Wamanga, Dr. Elizabeth Chwalabye, and Mr. Bone Ogongson. The interim leadership was also tasked to set up a disciplinary committee to expeditiously investigate the suspended leaders, and further instructed us to challenge in courts of law the October 6th sham illegal delegates conference. Disciplinary action and litigation. Upon assuming office, we immediately extracted the aforesaid resolutions of the delegates conference and submitted the same to the electoral commission as required under the law, with the demand that the record should capture the true position of the party. Unfortunately, up to now, the commission has not responded to our communication. Take a note of that. The same resolutions were forwarded to the banks, but still no positive response yet. The imposters continue to receive statutory funds from the electoral commission and spend the same illegally with reckless abandon. Our efforts to pursue the disciplinary committee, or rather the disciplinary process, have been thwarted by a number of impediments which are logistical and structural in nature. The foregoing notwithstanding, the position remains that Those masqueraders are still under suspension, no matter the posturing and grandstanding. I'm glad to report to you that all bona fide and well-intentioned members countrywide and in diaspora branches have roundly rejected them, and they are left with no iota of credibility. On the issue of litigation, members, you are aware that the party had been embroiled in a legal conundrum for some good time. In the run-up to the 19th September 2023 Extraordinary Delegates Conference, the imposters had engineered machinations to fraudulently secure a court order from the High Court Division, presided over by Lady Justice Esther Nambayo, to upstage or forestall the said conference, but all in vain. The purported ex parte order, earlier secured by collusion on 15th September 2023, was never extended nor served on Ambassador Birigwa, the national chairman, and it lapsed on 18th September 2023 on the eve of our delegates conference. Therefore, our delegates conference was lawfully convened, and the resolutions thereof were binding and have never been set aside in any courts of law. The reason I'm standing before you as your bona fide and legitimate party president. The civil suit in the High Court number 387 of 2023, Ambassador Waswabirigwa and 27 others versus Boniface Toteribuka Bamwenda, challenging the processes that were being undertaken to hold the aforesaid legal delegates conference at Patida Samaj, Lugogo, on the 16th of October 2023 under the aegis of Toteribuka Bamwenda Commission. We specifically sought for a permanent injunction restraining the impositors, their agents, servants, or employees acting under them. 1. From holding the office of the Chief Electoral Commissioner, FDC, without the express mandate of the National Delegates Conference. You know, for record, he has never been elected by a Delegates Conference. Holding and or presiding over the internal elections for the leadership of the structures of FDC. And lastly, convening the National Delegates Conference that was selected for 6 October to elect members of NEC. Distinguished members of the National Delegates Conference, therefore, service suit is still subsisting. It had been allocated to Justice Musa Sekana, but we requested the matter to be reallocated to another judge. In that suit, we had filed an interlocutor application seeking for temporary injunction to stop the Patida Samuji purported Delegates Conference of October 6th. Unfortunately, in his midnight ruling on the eve of the purported Delegates Conference, Justice Sekana declined to grant it, giving spurious reasons that it had been brought in bad faith. A bit of it is that the decision of Justice Sekana did not clothe their impugned Delegates Conference with legality or legitimacy. However, the main suit has not been conclusively heard or disposed of. I wish also to report that we registered a major victory in the Uganda Road Court case that had been instituted by the Najanankumbi Quislings through a proxy, a one Jamalu Wante, challenging the legality of our national chairman, vide criminal case number Uganda Road 1688 of 2024. The court roundly threw out the case on Thursday last week, the 15th of August, thereby cementing the authority and the legitimacy of Ambassador Waswa Birigwa as the undisputed and the unbogable party chairman. He is unbogable. You remember how he jumped over the fence to escape from those masqueraders. Internal elections and the party structures. The Delegates Conference set up an interim electoral commission chaired by Michael Kabaziguruka to organize transparent, free, and fair election of the party. However, we suffered some setback in that the commission chairperson got health challenges that rendered him unable to effectively execute his mandate. That notwithstanding, we managed to proceed with the task, and where we stand today, structures have been built at villages, parishes, sub-counties, constituencies, and district levels across the entire country. for yourself. Thank you. We must commend you for the commitment, zeal, and passion for your active participation and involvement in this exercise, which has been largely successful despite the limited resources and other impediments. At that time when we presented the report to National Council, we had built structures up to the district, and it was 80%. Now we stand at 100%. A big achievement. In addition to the four said resolutions, NEC had to take an additional assignment as anchored in the FDC Strategic Plan 2022-2027, the one which is running, of enhancing collaboration with other forces of change. We launched this at Najanankumbi before the junta, the masqueraders took over. In our strategic plan, we agreed to continue with our strategy of defiance and non-violent struggle. In advancement of the said strategy, we had to jointly work with other forces of change. And we have had a series of engagements, meetings, public appearances, and a number of activities. I am pleased to inform you that we have cemented the bond with the different formations, and on 16th January 2024, we hosted here at Katonga a joint press conference to pass on the New Year message that would give direction to Ugandans on how to regain their sovereignty. The press conference was addressed by our patriarch, Dr. Chiza Besigye, NUPU President, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, Honorable Winnie Chiza, on behalf of Auntie, Dr. Lulume Bayega of Progressive DP, Council Peter Walubiri of Progressive UPC, PPP President, HT Saddam Gaira, among others. Those particular leaders made a personal call to all Ugandans to rise up and challenge the junta through demonstrations and political activism. We had lined up a series of joint activities countrywide, starting with Kampala, Lira, and Iganga. For Kampala, we had an activity to awaken the people of Kampala about the deplorable state of infrastructure. The Kampala activity coincided with the NAM and G7 plus China conference that was used as an excuse by the junta to employ its brutal arm to thwart all our efforts. Some of us were detained and put under house arrest for a full week. Colonel Dr. Chiza Besigye, myself, and the Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi. That notwithstanding, we remain committed to a joint platform to push back and regain control of our country. Now, proposals and resolutions on the way forward at that particular meeting was engrossed in a rather intricate and labyrinthine debate about the trajectory of the party and the struggle, and it deemed it prudent and imperative to present the various permutations as they were suggested by various members of the party. These were the permutations, the options. Number one, should we continue with the fight to rescue our party and evict imposters from our headquarters at Najanankumbi? That was number one. Two, reconcile with the imposters on condition that they voluntarily vacate party offices at Najanankumbi and denounce their nefarious conduct and scandals. And we have to add that after cleansing the place of the whatever they did there. Three, the bona fide members of FDC who are still committed to the struggle to push back the junta constitute themselves into a new formation which would entail dissolving the FDC party. Four, continue advancing the struggle under a framework of a social movement akin to the reform agenda and forget all about the divisive party politics. These two would entail the dissolution of FDC and not forming a new party. The last one was join other existing political parties or acquire one which is dormant or in abeyance. Those were our proposals. After thrashing out all those issues, members of the National Council unanimously resolved that wide consultations be conducted with the party structures countrywide within a period of 3 months. Accordingly, a program was drawn for structured engagements on regional basis. The delegates conference, which had been hitherto scheduled to take place on 19th March 2024, was accordingly postponed. The Executive Committee consulted the founder members of the party at a meeting convened in Namugongo on 23rd October 2023, who appreciated the efforts that had hitherto been undertaken to address the crisis bedeviling the party. The thrust of their concern and recommendation was that the interim leadership of the party should explore all available options to reinvigorate the spirit and ideals espoused and agreed upon at Bodita on 7th August 2004. They emphasized the dire need to jealously guard the sanctity of the party constitution and the pedigree painstakingly built out of sacrifices and blood of many forefathers and other Ugandans. Its conference and way forward. Today's congregation is required to process the proposals generated from the consultative engagements in 17 out of 20 regions regarding the trajectory of the liberation struggle. Let me repeat this. Today's congregation is required to process the proposals generated from the consultative engagements in 17 out of 20 sub-regions, those we have in our constitution, regarding the trajectory of the liberation struggle and the platform to advance the same. In concise terms, the theme of today's delegates conference is refocusing the forces of change to the struggle for freedom. Upon concluding their aforesaid consultations, NEC embarked on a gigantic exercise of synthesizing the views and proposals generated, and I have the honor to present a snapshot of our findings. Number one, reconciliation. Some scant voices of reconciliation came through, particularly from Teso sub-region. Rwenzori and Acholi sub-regions too mooted the proposal of making attempts at reconciliation with the Najana Nkumbi renegades, failure of which a new formation be established. That were consulted, there were 17, unanimously coalesced behind the idea of establishing a new political party and completely sever any relations with the Najana Nkumbi imposters. May I repeat this? Apart from the aforesaid 3 sub-regions, the rest of the regions that were consulted, the 17 regions, unanimously coalesced behind the idea of establishing a new political party and completely sever any relations with the Najana Nkumbi imposters. Now listen to the implications. This of necessity will entail dissolution of the Forum for Democratic Change. Whichever is born of women, this of necessity will entail dissolution of the Forum for Democratic Change under Article 36 of the party constitution, which provides thus. A, may dissolve the party by 2/3 majority of all delegates of National Delegates Conference and transfer the assets and the liabilities of the party. There must be a notice of at least 6 months. There must be a resolution from 2/3 of the district conferences. The resolution must be supported by at least 80% of the attendance of the delegates conference. Upon considering the aforesaid proposals, NEC hereby presents before you, the honorable delegates, the following recommendations for consideration by this delegates conference going forward. Number one, we ask you to adopt this report. It's your decision. Two, that the process of dissolving the Forum for Democratic Change political party should commence in accordance with the provisions of Article 36 of the FDC Constitution. 3, initiate the process of forming a new political party and or coalescing with any other viable formation that is in existence. 4, that the tenure of the current leadership of the FDC be extended and be charged with the duty of pursuing the processes in 1, in 2, and 3 above. That is what we are asking you to do. It's up to you to take a decision one or the other. As I conclude, I would like to formally bring to the attention of this delegates conference a lamentably grave concern regarding some of our colleagues whom I would want to call the Kisumu 36, who would ordinarily be with us this morning, but regrettably are languishing in Chitalia and Luzira prisons over trumped-up charges of terrorism. As part of our continuous political mentorship program, 35 leaders of the party traveled to Kisumu, Kenya, on the 23rd of June 2024 through the designated border points and were cleared by the immigration departments of Uganda and Kenya for a week-long training at Ukweli Catholic Pastoral Community Center. Unfortunately, they were violently abducted from their hotel rooms together with a refugee, Mr. Simon Rutarondwa, hosted by the Kenya government in the wee hours of 24th June 2024, shortly after their arrival. They were tortured, their property, to wit computers, telephones, and other personal effects confiscated. They were illegally removed from Kenya and charged with terrorism without any due process or passing through the immigration protocols. On the 6th of October 2024, we petitioned the High Commission of Kenya in Uganda in a communication referenced that one, registering the party's displeasure over the same. This grotesque operation constituted an affront to not only the Bill of Rights, but also the national laws governing extradition and deportation. The international laws, not national laws. The international law governing extradition and deportation and all aspects. And in all aspects, this amounted to a crime of torture indictable under Article 5 of the Rome Statute. The great breach of trust for the Kenyan government and the Kenyan people to allow Ugandan security operatives to commit crime on the citizens of Uganda and whisk them away under their watch, march against the international law principle of pacta sunt servanda in relation to extradition laws of both countries and the East African Treaty, because we are free to move within the region unfettered. We expressed our deep concern and sought responses as to whether Kenya government was aware of this abduction, whether the impunity of the Ugandan state security operatives in Kenya, as demonstrated by the kidnap of the FDC leaders and the blatant abuse of their rights sanctioned by the Kenyan government. Is Uganda declared a Kenya hostile neighbor with terrorist training camps from which Uganda government has chosen to operate within Niri? Our party leaders were deported. We want to know whether our party leaders were deported or extradited by the Kenyan authorities, which have said did not conform or comply to the international laws and standards. And finally, is Kenya safe for visitors, tourism, or business? We wanted to get answers to all those questions. Unfortunately, as we speak today, we are yet to get any response. Very unfortunate. For the record, the full list of the Kisumu 36 is here under. Yes, they were mentioned by the Honorable Salam Musumba, but because of the significance of this matter, allow me to read the list again. Dr. George Kwaro, Charles Nkonge, Poka Wanguzi, Nasuru Basalirwa, Latif Waiswa Maido, Charles Wangabu Kenya, Kitamirike Mbago Buyinza, Kasera John Mangen, Hakim Bukenya, Peter Sozi Oringa, Walter Obang, Chankara Moses Mwaka, Yosia Kaigo, George Wanzige, Innocent Museveni, that their spirits are solid, indomitable, and they are ever chanting, "We shall overcome, we shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, we shall overcome someday."
Of our current situation and begin to define a future where we are in charge. Because that future, why this is important, that as citizens, we need to be able to frame a debate that leaves Museveni where he is. And we go into the future, and if he wants to come with us, he normally will come. So we need to be able to think of what's the conversation we should be having. Because we are spending a lot of time as a country discussing President Museveni. If we are not discussing President Museveni, then we are discussing his sons. And that is very unfortunate. So FDC can be the party that helps us to move beyond this discussion of the individuals and focus on a policy, content-driven discussion about how do we provide a quality education for our children, how do we provide a quality health care for our people, how do we make sure that the economy works for everybody, how do we make sure that we are able to make interventions that make the environment more adaptive so that it doesn't destroy us the way it's doing. And normally that kind of politics is not very easy, because the people who want to control you and manage you are going to keep on drawing you back into discussing the current situation. So you have to have a leadership. You have to have a team of thinkers that are not really doing just the real politics, but they are thinking about the future and make sure that the organization is discussing how the Uganda of the future is looking like. Because all the young people that I see here, they are really not bothered about the Uganda of the 70s and the 80s that most of us lived. They are worried about the future that we are building for ourselves and for our children. So the question is, or the point is that FDC as a party needs to invest in being the leader that shapes the debate of the future. My view is that if you do that, then the Ugandans who are yearning for change, Ugandans who are yearning for a different future, they will definitely be attracted to a discussion like that. Number two is that we need to be able to build organizations that are embedded in these structures that have been captured by the regime. Are we engaging the Uganda police, the officers and the officers of the Uganda police, the officers of the men and women in the UPDF, the intelligence? Are we structured as an organization to be able to make sure that we win the trust of all these people to see that actually the fight we are involved in is their fight? It is not a fight against them, but a fight for them. Because all these people in the military, in intelligence, in police, and other institutions of government, they all face the same problems that we face. They take their children to the same schools, they take their relatives to the same health centers, and we need to be able to deal with that. Finally, is how we move past the differences and the conflicts that we have, the fights that we have as citizens. I think as a country now, we are still lacking the leadership that moves us beyond the petty fights that we have, whether it is within political parties. Those fights exist within the civil society. They exist within academia. Because some of you guys who are engaged in politics, you are always really bashed that because the FDC, they are fighting amongst themselves. These ones are fighting themselves. Let me tell you guys, don't be embarrassed, because those fights are taking place everywhere. In every segment of our society, those fights are happening, and all we need to do is get an organization like FDC, which has been here and it has been tested, and let it take the charge and lead and be able to begin to enable us as a people move past our petty differences so that we can focus on the long-term